Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 6th, 2025 meeting of the Candiota County Board of Commissioners. We have a extended agenda today, and we'll be convening this meeting, and then afterwards we'll also reconvene as the Drainage Authority for some business there, and then following that there will be a work session that will be receiving the initial budget presentation for the 2026 budget. At this time, I would entertain, excuse me, before we get to the business, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd look for a motion to approve today's agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Emdek moves.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson seconds. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda, which today contains the approval of the April 15th, 2025 County Board legal minutes, the approval of the auditor's warrants and claims. We're going to pay the bills. Joint powers agreement and court services amendment for the Sheriff's Office, New London Fire Department exempt permit, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program SNAP Joint Powers Agreement Amendment, and a permit application approval for Diamond Lake County Park 3 event. Are there any items from the consent agenda that commissioners wish to pull for further discussion? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
There's a motion by Commissioner Dale Anderson, second by Commissioner Berg. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. At this time, we would have Mr. Richard Meehy from MCIT, Minnesota Counties Insurance Trust, come up and present to us. And as soon as you're done with that, go ahead and grab the mic. And although I just introduced you, please introduce yourself for the record and who you're with.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. My name is Richard Meehy. I'm a risk manager with Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust. So happy to be out in Candiota this morning making the rounds. A beautiful day for a drive. So my objective for this morning is pretty simple. Just want to give you kind of a condition of the county. As you'll see in the handout, we'll kind of weave through some generic overarching member-wide stats and graphs, and we'll also talk specifically about Candiota. So if there are any things or items or portions that need a little extra clarification, you have questions, feel free to let me know and we'll attack them in real time. If I don't know the answer, which is entirely possible, I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. So by way of refresher, introduction, wherever it may be for you, MCIT is your insurance entity. We are not an insurance company. We are a risk-sharing pool. So we've been doing this since 1979. Candiota has been in it for 40 years. So our interests are aligned. We don't have a profit motive. We're a joint powers entity. You will not see MCIT on any hockey helmets or golf flags. You will not recognize our jingle because we don't have one. We are a bare bones risk pool. We take a contribution from our membership. We invest it, we pay claims, and ideally we return a dividend when we have risks managed and losses controlled as adequately as possible. So we act like an insurance entity, but again, we're not a company for those reasons. One of the most important things is we're governed by a board of your peers. So we constantly have a pulse on the struggles of our counties and our members. So we try to tailor coverage as wisely as possible so it serves the public as wisely as possible. So what we ask of our commissioners to do is just engage. When you have projects, concerns, initiatives that are coming down the pike, we love knowing about those ahead of time. If you have coverage questions, that's when we want to be in your ear and have your attention, and we want to collaborate and come up with solutions. So it's always more fun to ride the horse looking forward rather than clean it up on the back end. So your engagement is your greatest gift you can give us and the rest of our pool. Typically, if you have a question or a concern or an issue, somebody else in the state and the membership is going to have it as well. So speaking up and chipping in and chiming in is beneficial to all. So I'll kind of buzz through that. Our first stat, I'm on page 2, upper left-hand box there. Here's where we have been able to be a little bit strategic as far as an insurance entity. Costs in the insurance world, you're going to hear that phrase repeat itself a little bit during my portion. We're battling costs. So what we've done as a risk pool, we purchase reinsurance. So we are a self-insuring risk pool, but when we hit catastrophic levels, we have to go into our reinsurance. By upping that retention, that's how we've been able to knock down some prices and introduce savings. So our pool takes on more risk so we don't have to hit those retention rates. Hopefully that's, and you can see that's translating into savings for our membership.
Richard?
Yes.
We're just wondering, there's an overhead camera right above you there.
Yes.
Maybe if you can center this on the table, and
certainly.
then we'll be able to put it up on the screens. And
Up there now.
oh, it is.
Okay, looking pretty good.
I hadn't seen it.
All right, and I'll kind of let my eye go to the
Yep.
box below that now, as we look at total insured values continue to climb. So this is kind of this is one of the boxes that would mirror your personal life as well. It's costing us a lot more to insure our things at home. So in the business world and in the public world, we're struggling with that as well. The alarm here is from 21 to 22, and we go from 6.6 to 7 million, and this is all of the total insured value of our membership. So 81 of the 87 counties, 500 roughly members at this point, considering all the various ag societies, soil and water conservation districts, historical societies, and the like. If I'm looking at 21 to 22, 6.6 million to 7. Okay, and if we jump ahead from 24 to 25, when we get from 8.1 to 9.2, we're starting to look more like a hockey stick than a gentle trend up. So that's something that we're keeping our eye on. As with that, one positive thing, or one of the many positive things from 2025, we have higher costs of coverage, but we've also expanded that. So in our equipment breakdown coverage, we've been able to at least have some expanded services. It's more value, it's costing us more, but we're at least able to provide some additional services and expand coverages. So we're happy to see that. As I'm on to page 3, the blue box upper right, this one, we're still seeing some the dust settle coming off of COVID with supply chain and workforce movement, stagnant back and forth. We try to keep these, it's nice when a graph can kind of level set a little bit. If we look at that dip in workers' compensation rates, as we got through 2023, a lot of those, the bodies started to move again. People went back to work. We had lots of things with wage surveys and studies, compensation studies. If you're adding head count again, coming off of the pandemic, not only are you having more employees, they're generally getting paid more, so that's when the work comp costs continue to increase. Now, let's go to a little bit of the good news. On the right side of that, we see the dividend highlighted there, which we're able to return to Candia, Ohio. Very excited to do that. I'm gonna talk on the next page on why that's so possible, but that comes back out of the work comp side of things. So again, a little bit more to come on that. Bottom box on this page is an interesting one. This is a little bit of a misnomer or an anomaly in the insurer risk world if we look at cyber claims. So insurance and risk focus on two very simple metrics, frequency and severity. How often and how bad. If we take a look at the cyber claims, we're continuing an upward trend. So they are happening more frequently year over year. The great thing is we saw a reduction from 23 to 24. So again, they're happening more often, but they were less severe when they did. The reason behind this one is we were able to avoid all ransomware claims in 2024. And this is fantastic. This is a peril that we can knock down with technology, education, and awareness. So that's just letting us know that folks are not falling for scams and the like and clicking on things that they ought not with the level that they had previously. So kudos to the membership for being part of that. Okay, back page, top left box. This is a really fun one to talk to with you folks. We're going to talk about workers' compensation. This is a very tricky peril, very expensive peril for the working world to deal with. Candy Ojai is doing exceptional in this category. So you get a score, you get a mod rate. If it's this is a beautiful formula. It's your batting average, it's your quarterback rating, it's your golf index. It's a very specific formula that scores you numerically on how you perform from a work comp standpoint. A great score is 1.0. Anything under than that is sterling. You are at 0.8. What that means is, on average, for each workers' compensation claim that gets filed in Candy, Ohio, it costs almost $70,000 less compared to your peers. So your injuries aren't that severe. You're getting back to work as quickly as possible. And more importantly, you just have significantly less of them. So that is fantastic. Great for the community, great for the taxpayer, great for the membership, great for everybody. So again, compliment you on that. Always room for improvement. The fun thing here is this is a very sticky score. So it's a 3-year historical. We don't count 25 because it's happening. 24 is too new. So we go 23, 22, and 21. If you really dig into the math here, 2021, you're going to lose a 1.22. So that number theoretically could only get better. So I'm happy to report that. If you pop your eye to the box on the right there, that's just kind of letting you know, again, this is a condition of the counties. This is all membership here of what's costing us money and where the numbers are coming from. Your eye probably goes to law enforcement liability with a significantly higher amount per claim. That's just the reality of that line of work. 24/7, 365, a lot of room for error to happen there. So. And also auto. Vehicles are just, when we hit a deer, it costs a little bit more than it did 30 years ago with all the gizmos and gadgets that we put in the vehicles nowadays too. So nothing super out of the ordinary there. What I want to leave you with are these kind of sections at the bottom. This is, again, where we love your engagement. You're doing a great job. We want to learn from you. If you're having struggles, we want to hear from you. One thing I really want to highlight, lower right portion there is MCIT offers no and low cost training addressing patrol. The peace officers accredited training online. I know Candy, Ohio has put about 40 folks through that in the last 5 years. So that's, again, something we're extremely happy to champion and work with you folks on. Other things like benchmark analytics, workplace injury hotline, those are kind of generic stuff, but employee assistance program as well. To all members and elected officials. So grief counseling, marriage counseling, debt counseling, all those types of things. Even if you have some leadership issues, if you have somebody new into a supervisor role and they're having trouble communicating with staff, they're can help you through some difficult conversations there. So it's there for you. It's a great thing to utilize and encourage you to do so. All right, I spoke pretty quick there for a long time. I'll open up any questions or concerns.
Certainly, and Richard, first of all, thank you. And I apologize for calling the organization by the wrong name.
Not a problem.
When we first started. It's interesting to me that the cyber claims is becoming more and more of a thing. And even a couple of years ago, we were looking at the potential hearing from MCIT that there might not be cybersecurity coverage for our membership. So I'm thrilled that we have it because it's getting a tougher and tougher thing to do. I know we get spoof emails all the time that we have to be very cautious with and always checking with our IT staff. So. What trends are you seeing in this right now? Is the market relatively stable?
Two things kind of come to mind there. The insurers enter and leave the market with massive disruption. So the insuring world is still trying to figure out who wants to be in this business and who doesn't. As you mentioned, we had Hartford Steam Boiler exit the market mid-policy, midterm a couple of years ago. So we had to scramble and get new coverage in place. So that's one aspect. So we struggle with it from there. The other side is we're seeing significant gains in technology and sophistication on how tricky these things used to be. So the poorly written email with terrible grammar, things that we could sniff out pretty easily initially, things like artificial intelligence and spell check and those types of things make those things easier to craft. The other difficult thing is just the arena that we play in, our contracts, the services that we provide, the big projects that we engage in. It's all public, timelines, billing terms, costs, all those types of things. So it just opens us up. We're more susceptible. Bad guys have more information to play with to create tricky things in that world.
Commissioner Imdahl.
And thank you. Along the lines of the cyber, I see we had a pretty large spike from 22 to 23, and then we had almost a similar type of downtrend. I attended a cybersecurity workshop that you presented in St. Cloud. There might have been more than one. I went to the
Yes,
same.
yeah.
Is that about the time when we started to see the downward trend? And do you consider that to be a successful campaign to help bring awareness to IT people?
Great question. In the risk and insurance world, we're always pretty hesitant to take credit because then you got to take blame on the other side of the coin. However, I think everyone is significantly spooked. And these hit very close to home. We were right in the midst of a couple of ransomware situations, claims that get the attention. And when it hits your neighbors and the people close to you, then you kind of, you start taking care of your house as well. So I think it was a call to action, and it has helped drive down. And I think we've been fortunate, and we've also gotten more sophisticated in technology stack and the human firewall. I think back to when we were little, we answered the phone, hello? We were inquisitive. We didn't know. We used our context clues of who's home right now, who would be calling, what would they want. There was etiquette. You didn't call during dinner time. And now we receive copious amounts of information electronically, and we just take it as gospel almost initially. So we have to start the human firewall, the human filtering is up right now because we've seen our friends and constituents and neighbors get hit so hard. So, we got to take the good out of those historical bads.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It reminds me of the text messages. We were to Florida in April, and I used the Easy Pass, I guess it was March, purchased the Easy Pass at the airport, and about 2 days after getting home, I started getting text messages that I have unpaid fines. I'm thinking, realize it ended up coming from MnDOT, or people claiming it was MnDOT's Easy Pass, but I still got one the other day. So that those text messages, they're really easy to fall into those traps. But my question, and I have one here, so going back to one of your first slides, you talked about our achievement of getting a pretty good score and it caused me to ask myself the question, when people work from home, are they covered by workman's comp if they get a paper cut? They're working at their desk or whatever.
I'll give you the answer. With all claims, they're fact dependent and the circumstances matter, but yes, you're covering those folks at home as well.
If they're in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. There's some parameters if they're, working from the cabin or on vacation. There's some statutes and some very structured things that they need to hit, but the short answer is yes, they're covered at home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
So thanks for coming here today and
Yeah,
explaining
certainly.
all this. I find it interesting, you're called a risk sharing pool, or you define yourself as that. And I kind of like the idea when I'm reading through this because it shows in 2024, we got a dividend. And I just wish that like more insurance agencies would switch to something like your model because
Yeah.
you guys take the individual, we're a big individual, I suppose you could say. But it would be nice if other, corporations would take this kind of into consideration. Because I know in some other countries, when people buy health insurance, and if they don't use it, they actually get like a dividend or they get paid back a little bit. And here you don't get that. You just pay more every year, it seems. So it's nice to see this, and it's really interesting to
Yeah,
follow.
in the private sector, you could operate under what's called a captive and essentially self-insure and buy, but it is not as popular as you think it would be. Insurance can be profitable. they don't lose. You know, if you have a bad year, you get charged more the next, and if you get really, really bad, they kick you out. You know, that's not how we operate. Again, our motives are just different. Our interests are so aligned. That's why they pay us about the industry average bucks, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, I have one, but I think it would just kind of duplicate what has already been said here. So do you have anything else for us today, or?
No, just, again, thank you for your time, and your engagement is a gift, so I look forward to it. If there are any questions, do not hesitate to reach out.
Well, very good, and thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed your drive out this
Thank
morning. Thank you. All right, moving on then, we will move to the 9:30 item, which is Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services Annual Presentation. Dina, please come up and introduce yourself, and welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am Dina Warnes with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. Well, we go by CMJTS. It's a lot easier to say. I see the PowerPoint is up. There is a copy of the PowerPoint in your folder on the right-hand side. I'll go through and just explain some information. Truly, my goal here this morning is to either introduce you to who CMJTS is, if you're not sure, or to reintroduce you. We're really working hard to kind of rebrand ourselves, and what I like to compare us to is a phoenix kind of rising out of the ashes. So that's where we're at today. So I'm going to share some information with you specific to the services that we deliver within our agency. Before doing so, I do want to share that we do have both a Joint Powers Board, which Commissioner Dwayne Anderson sits on our board, and he's been newly elected as the Vice Chair of our Joint Powers Board, or I'm sorry, our Workforce
Secretary.
Development
I think
Board.
I'm the secretary.
You are Secretary
Yes.
of the Joint Powers Board, and he is, that's it, right?
I think so,
Nothing.
yep.
Yes, okay, perfect.
So far.
Yeah, so far, exactly. We got lots of plans for Commissioner Anderson. So he does also sit on our Workforce Development Board for the 11 counties that we serve. Candy Ojai is one of those 11 counties. We also have a board member here with us this morning, and you might recognize her. Melissa Bob Warner is one of our Workforce Development Board members. Give them a wave. There you go, yep.
Welcome.
So Melissa sits on our board. We have a board of 21 individuals, and she is one of many voices that helps us manage our day-to-day and big picture business. So if we can move ahead to the next slide, please. Just to share real quick, these are the 11 counties that we cover in central Minnesota. We do go as high or as far north as Pine County and as far south as Renville County. So we've got quite a stretch of miles in between the coverage that we serve. We have 9 locations throughout those 11 counties to ensure that we are accessible to individuals who need us. What I will say about that, we offer a range of services, and that's what I'll talk about this morning briefly. I do have all kinds of information in your packet for you to look at some point at a later date, maybe just to refamiliarize yourself or maybe get some questions answered that you may have during the presentation. We do workforce development. That's our commitment. And we serve everybody from age 14 to 104. If you're looking for work, you want to go back to work, we likely have a program available to assist you with that, manage any challenges or barriers, help get you back to work quickly. We serve individuals who are new time entry workers, maybe career changers. They've had an injury on the job and they can't do that line of work any longer. They need some help with retraining. We've helped individuals who've been employed with a company for 25, 30 years, and they now find themselves dislocated because maybe the company had to close their doors or move. And then we also work with the businesses in Candy, Ojai County. So we have all kinds of resources available to help all of the businesses here. Bridget Paulson is the business service coordinator here in Candy, Ojai County. Up here is some funding source information. We do have a handout as well on the left-hand side that gives you an idea of where all of our funding comes from. Sometimes there's a misconception that our funding comes from maybe county services. Some of our counties think that we're only a public assistance MFIP provider. We are not. We're much larger than that. So you can see in the diagram, we have funding from state and federal entities. So we do receive funding from the Department of Employment and Economic Development. We receive funding from the Department of Labor. We also do receive funding. We have MFIP public assistance contracts in 6 of our 11 counties. And then we also have foundational or donation grants that we receive. So we try to diversify our funding sources so that if something goes awry in one of those pots, we've got access somewhere else.
And
Yes.
Dina, just for the folks listening out there today, you mentioned MFIP. Would you tell us what that is?
Absolutely. So I'm probably speaking for Melissa here, but Melissa is the provider for MFIP in Candy, Ojai County with DEED, or the Department of Employment and Economic Development. MFIP is the Minnesota Family Investment Program. So individuals who are receiving those county benefits while they're in a hardship of some kind, they are mandatory to come work with some type of employment and training provider. We deliver those in 6 counties. Melissa has Candy, Ojai County, and essentially our role is to help identify those challenges and those barriers that keep people from going back to work or becoming self-sufficient. Sometimes the goal isn't work, it's just a matter of finding other resources of income so that they're no longer dependent on that public assistance. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, absolutely. So we can go to the next slide, please. We do have a fund development team. We have a fund development manager on our team because, like I said, we are always trying to diversify our resources. It's never a good thing to be solely reliant on state and federal funds because they're extremely fickle. And depending upon the administration, depending upon who's in charge, those funds get, they change. They rarely grow. Oftentimes we see decreases. So we have a fund development team. Leslie is our fund development manager. She's working with stakeholders across the county. So she might be talking with businesses. She might be talking with training providers such as Ridgewater College or CES, the CDL provider. We're talking with job seekers. We're identifying what types of resources are necessary, and then we seek out those grants that we can write for, respond to, and hopefully receive to help residents and businesses here in Candy, Ojai County. I did provide a list for you on the left-hand side of some of the grants that we have written for in the last year. Leslie has been extremely busy. I want to say she's probably written probably 16 grants in the last 6 months. And we slowly continue to either receive or get told, hey, not this time. Whenever we receive a denial letter, we always follow up. We want that feedback so that we can improve our process in the future. We'll talk next about some of the services that we provide to job seekers. So we do provide what we consider high-quality services. Like I said, we serve every job seeker, whether you're a career changer, maybe you're just looking for some interim funds until you find that next job opportunity after a dislocation. Maybe, again, you are new to job search. You have no idea what to do. You've been working for the same company for 30 years and you only had to have a handshake to get hired back then. So maybe you need some help with resume writing. Maybe you just need help with career assessments. What direction should I go? I have no idea. How can I take my skills and transfer them into a new career? So those are some of the tasks that our career navigators and employment specialists are doing with job seekers. We also have career labs available. I know that there is a career lab here with the Career Force Center that we direct individuals to. We work strongly with our partners in the area, one of our partners being Job Service, Vocational Rehab Services, Adult Basic Education. We try to work with them to gain the referrals for those individuals who need our services as a workforce development provider. Next slide then just gives you a list of who some of those individuals are. We work with adults, we work with youth, ages 14 to what we consider young adult, age 24. Like I stated before, we work with entry-level individuals. We work with low income, unemployed, underemployed, so we can even assist the individual who's underemployed, not making ends meet, and just needs some help. So those are some of the categories of individual that we serve. Any questions with that before I move on? Okay, great. So then next, we provide services to our business community as well. Some of the things that we're able to do there, we have, like I said, Bridget, who is a business service coordinator. If you haven't met Bridget yet, I may send her here one day to introduce herself. She is a ball of fire. She's got just a ton of energy. She does so much work with Candy Ojai employers. She sits on several committees in the county, childcare, transportation, trying to figure out what we need to do to help the business. Sometimes it seems strange, what do you mean childcare or transportation? But if an individual doesn't have childcare, if they don't have the accessibility for transportation to get to a job, then the employer can't hire them. So we're focused on those activities as well. We can help employers if they know there's a layoff inevitable, whether it's a full closure or maybe they have to eliminate a department or two within their business. We can assist them with layoff services where we can go in before the workers lose their job. We can start working with them to identify what's your next step. We can start helping those employees so that once they're dislocated, they dislocate and they're ready to get that new job right away. So we're trying to take the stress away from both the employer and the worker. We also have financial resources for employers in Candy Ojai County. We can assist them with what we refer to as on-the-job training, where if they have a candidate that they would like to hire, but maybe they're lacking some skills that they need on the job, we know that employers typically identify that those, what we call soft skills or professional skills, those are number one, right? Are you gonna show up on time? Are you gonna come in every day? Are you gonna do your job, stay off your phone, those types of things. But then there's also that skills gap. When there's a skills gap, we can help with on-the-job training. We can reimburse that employer 50% of the wage for that individual for up to 6 months in order to give that employer an opportunity to put some training into that worker so that they meet their specific needs. Another resource we have for our businesses is what we call incumbent worker training. So there are times when a business might need to do some upskilling or upgrading in order to remain competitive in the market. Maybe they want to avert a layoff. They know, ooh, I potentially have to lay these individuals off unless I can X, Y, Z. Then we can come in and help them identify a vendor or a training provider to deliver that training they need in order to upskill their workers. We can do up to $25,000 per contract for an employer, and we can help them identify who that training vendor would be based on their specific needs. So those are some of the resources we're able to provide to businesses, and we do that as often as possible. Like I said, Bridget's out there talking about it all of the time at chambers, economic development meetings, letting them know we're here. But I think that's why we always ask for the help from our county commissioners. Please remember and tout our work so that individuals and businesses know where they can go for that assistance. And I actually just talked about this one, sorry about that. So we could move on to the next slide, wonderful. So some of the new things or the innovative things that we have done in the past, I do have some information. I just kind of slid it right inside the folder, it's loose in there. But it highlights some of these innovative ideas that we've been implementing over the last year. We have Operation Exploration Camps, and I do have some flyers in your packet to talk about or to share those. We have 2 camps. So the camps serve youth age 16 to 24. They'll be held at the Ridgewater campus. We have one that focuses on the trades, and that one is from June 9th through the 13th, and then again June 16th through the 18th. And we have one running as well at the same time for healthcare type work. So essentially, the youth can come in and they can experience the different types of occupations and industries hands-on. We have instructors there from the industry that teach the youth, give them, like I said, chances in the healthcare field. They're actually practicing doing sutures or bandaging people. So they actually get to have a lot of fun in the process. We always have a waiting list for our kids because we have funding. We can only serve so many kids. It is an absolute success every year, and we invite you to pop on by. If you're available anytime during those dates, pop on by. Just introduce yourself when you show up and let them know you just want to see what the camps are all about, because they're one of the things that we are really proud of here in Candy, Ojai County. We also are focused on register apprenticeship. So one of the things we are doing, we've just applied for a grant. Our goal is to become a registered apprenticeship hub in our 11 counties. So we want to be accessible to employers who want to develop registered apprenticeship programming within their business. We want to connect them to the resources and help them start that process. And the reason why we want to do that is because we know registered apprenticeship is a great retention tool. It keeps those employees on site in your company. They feel valued and you're invested and they feel that. So we want to motivate that registered apprenticeship in our 11 counties. We also have HR groups and professional groups, professional networking for those job seekers. And we host an HR group monthly for any business in Candy, Ojai County. They can join that HR group. They meet with other individuals. Some of our groups are as large as 20 to 40 people, depending upon who shows up that day. And it just gives employers who hire individuals, HR individuals, almost like a support group. How are you handling this? How are you doing this? It's a great resource for business again. And then professional networking is a group to help those job seekers, specifically the job seekers who have experience in maybe a higher end job. Maybe they were dislocated from a 6-digit figure job. So they want some of that professional networking. We deliver that, and our board chair helps facilitate that meeting. Sorry, I lost the word. All right. And the last slide I have to talk about is strategic planning. One of the things that we're doing as an agency and as a workforce development board, like I stated at the beginning, we're trying to refocus who we are. We're working really hard to identify what our community needs are so that we can kind of meld ourselves into that provider. We need to know from the community in order to get things right. So that's our goal. Dwayne, Melissa, both participated in our strategic planning event. We had an 8-hour day where we brought a professional in to kind of help us identify what were some key topics that we want to focus on over the next 2 years. Couple of things. We want to try and figure out how do we motivate the young worker, maybe that Gen Z thinking, young worker to stay in the communities they live in when they work, right? We know that a lot of young people leave their communities. So we're trying to figure out what can we do different to train up and skill both the employer and that youth and help them stay in their community. Another thing that we're working on is branding and marketing. We need to make sure that when people see our logo, they know exactly who we are and they can get us the clients that we need. And then we're also focused on, like I said, finances. We're trying really hard to diversify and not be so reliant on those state and federal dollars. We are meeting, myself and Leslie, we're meeting with our provider, the individual who delivered those services. We're meeting with him next week. He's going to help us develop a plan for some next steps, and then we're rolling into the work. So that's a good picture, I guess, of who CMJTS is. And our annual report is in your packet, as well as a gatefold brochure that just gives you some real quick, simple information, identifies all of the services that we deliver. So thank you.
Ina, thank you so much. And before I open it up to questions, I kind of want to piggyback on something you just mentioned, which is a reliance on federal and state funding. What challenges are you seeing out there right now?
I think the challenges we're seeing is, number one, the governor's budget, his proposed budget. There's some cuts that the services that we deliver on a regular basis, we rely on those funds in order to do that. So we're hoping we don't get hit too hard. An example would be Minnesota Youth Program. So with our Minnesota Youth Program, we are able to serve the hardest to serve youth. So individuals who are maybe 15 years old and they're already on a path or a trajectory to not graduate. Maybe they're already exhibiting some criminal behavior. Maybe they have parents who are in jail. So we're talking about some pretty hard to serve youth with our Minnesota Youth Program, and that budget's being cut in the proposed bills. So we're trying to figure out where are these other resources where we can pull monies in so that we can continue to do the work, maintain that sustainability without relying on state funds. Same then with federal funds. With the WIOA, or the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, we receive quite a bit of funding from WIOA in order to deliver youth programming. We serve adults who are usually unemployed, underemployed, have a lot of challenges in order to get back to work, or the dislocated worker who's lost their job due to no fault of their own. With those federal cuts, that impacts us quite a bit.
All right, thank you for that, and of course, this is something that we're going to have on a continuous loop as we visit with agencies like yours, and certainly as we're going to learn today, Candioi County and all 87 of our counties here in Minnesota are not immune
Yes.
at all. In fact, we're pretty susceptible to the same pressures that you're seeing. Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
So I just got a few comments. So part of that with the funding, with our strategic planning session that we had that day on March 14th, was a big part of the discussion, or part of the discussion was how do we get away where we're not as dependent on state and federal dollars. And so if you look back a little bit on Dina's presentation, it talks about we're having a fundraiser, and it was the golf outing in September. And so I'm not a golfer, but it sounds fun, so I'll probably still attend. But if anybody here likes to golf, I think it's gonna be a fun event. But that's part of it. It's, we're trying to think outside the box, and I think connect more businesses with CMJTS. And another little story I tell people once in a while is my first introduction with CMJTS was when I was door knocking about 6 years ago, and one individual used to work for you guys, and he told me that if it wasn't for CMJTS helping a business in the area that wanted to come here, the business maybe wouldn't have come, because there were a lot of people that wanted to work for the business, but they didn't have the skills, and then CMJTS help those people get the skills. And it was a business that provides about 200 jobs, I was told. So they really are helpful, and word needs to get out a little better, maybe somehow. I don't know how exactly that the services that is provided by CMJTS.
Thank you.
Commissioner Imdek.
Thank you. You mentioned in your presentation about, you brought up youth several times. You brought up engagement with local businesses and perhaps as supporters as much as anything. I received a phone call, I think it was last Friday, from somebody from the Wilmer School District that said, hey, Roger, do you have any ideas on funding? They have 80 students at the Wilmer School District that are interested in taking CNA training at the school. New London Spicer was able to do a program a couple years ago where they trained a number of CNA students. And they're struggling to find the funding for it. Surprising to me at least was that two of the major employers of CNAs turned them down for assisting with funding because they have their own CNA training program.
Right.
Is this something that Minnesota Jobs and or that you could, Central Minnesota Jobs and Trainings could get involved with in either encouraging employers to, fund a program like that, or do you have funds yourself for those kind of programs?
So the answer is probably. What I would like to do is maybe get some specific information from you, and I could maybe shoot you an email later this afternoon to start that conversation. If I could get that contact information, absolutely, we would reach out to them. Depending upon the age of the students as well, kind of dictates what funding streams we have available.
These are high school students.
So high school 16 to 18-ish, are we thinking?
think,
Yeah, okay, so we have that's what we call cohort training, where we have a large group of individuals who all go through the same training together. We have done cohorts in the past, so that's something we can definitely look into. And if we're unable to, then we can help them identify what resources are out there to help.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Dina here? I want to, it seems to me that we did have some sort of a program in collaboration with Ridgewater here a couple of years back. I don't know if that was still in play or not.
So we do work with Ridgewater College. Dr. Johnson is a board member of our Workforce Development Board. And yeah, we work pretty closely with them. I think right now they're trying to pull together a basic Microsoft skills training for several of our individuals who come in. They don't know computers. They're afraid if they click a button, it'll implode. So they're going to put together a training for us right now.
You laughed a little too much. But
I used to be kind of that way, but I've gotten better over the years.
Yeah.
I feel your pain. Administrator Baker.
So your registered apprenticeship, do you want to explain a little bit more? Because I think it's always eye-opening of what you offer compared to if maybe a private company has their own apprenticeship program, like an electrician or lineman, journeyman, those types of positions. But an apprenticeship doesn't have to be in that type of field either. So do you want to
Correct.
explain a little bit more about that? I'm
Absolutely.
thinking back to like my WIOA days and
Yep.
all of that. So I think that's just something that's really beneficial to rural Minnesota that we don't always feel can be offered to us, and the benefits of registering through you with deed and all of that. I think that's just, that's really eye-opening. If you could explain that a little
Yes,
bit more, I think that
absolutely.
would be beneficial.
Yeah, so one of the things that we can do with employers is help them through that process. And again, they do not have to be, it can be a non-union employer. So any employer can register a program or a training program with the Department of Labor in Minnesota, and then that becomes a registered apprenticeship program. With WIOA, there are all kinds of rules around who can be a trainer, who can't. With registered apprenticeship, the trainer is waived from all of those requirements for WIOA, which is kind of nice because then it allows for flexibility in training. Typically, what we will do, there's an application, it's a process. It's a paperwork process in order to get it registered. And I mean, we're talking about hundreds of industries can be applicable. We're looking at helping with some healthcare registered apprenticeships right now with a couple of employers in our northern areas. There is a registered apprenticeship that was created at the North Branch School District. So I know that there are 3, I believe one was in Wilmer, if I can remember correctly. We're getting phone calls from individuals from school districts right now saying, hey, we would like to create a registered apprenticeship program. So those are some of the things we can do. And then it helps the employer. How WIOA funding can help then is there's a split when you do registered apprenticeship between hands-on, doing the job, and then there's a specific number of hours in the classroom that must be met alongside the hands-on. So WIOA can assist in the cost of those classroom hours so that offsets the cost to the employer for their employee. And then, again, we can just help manage them back and forth. And we've seen registered apprenticeship in pretty much all industries. People a lot of times associate it with union, and they associate it with manufacturing or construction maybe, the trades. We can go beyond the trades, absolutely.
All right. Any other questions for Dina? Dina, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being here today.
Yeah.
Always look forward to seeing our friends from CMJTS
Great.
before the board. And thank you for all the work that you do, and safe travels back home.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you for having me this morning, and I will, listen to Dwayne, come golf with us on September 18th.
Thank you.
And just to let the board know, we will take the next item, the 9:50 item, and then we will take a 5-minute recess. At this time, we have the Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center preschool driveway bid. Jennifer Swenson. Jennifer, please come up and introduce yourself, and welcome. More technology. Dwayne, you want to help with that?
No. I can get my stuff to work, and that's about it.
And while we're talking about the technology, I got to remember to
Is it set up on your laptop?
Yes.
Thank you.
turn my ringer off.
Sometimes I open it, it's not set up.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Thank
good morning. I am Jennifer Swenson with Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center, and I've been leading the organization for the past 3 years as executive director. And I'm here today to share a significant milestone. We've had a very exciting year. In addition, we also have an important update, as you mentioned, on a construction project for our newest program, the Nature Preschool. So to begin, Prairie Woods was established in 1992 in partnership with the Kaneohe County Board. Over the past 3 decades, it's grown into a regional destination for environmental education and outdoor recreation, all operating on county-owned land with county support. And what I'm sharing today reflects years of planning and hard work, and it's a great example of how this partnership continues to bring real value to the county and the people who live here. So first, I'm proud to officially announce that Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center has been designated as a natural resource-based regional park through the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission. This puts us among just 82 parks and trails across the state, recognized for their natural resource value, public accessibility, and long-term planning. This is the result of a multi-year process, including strategic and master planning, site visits, and formal review. And with this designation as a regional park, Prairie Woods is now eligible for legacy funding through the Parks and Trails Fund. It also gives us access to statewide planning tools and strengthens our position when applying for future grants. And from the commission, Renee Madsen, Joe Chapesky, and the commission chair, Rick Anderson, have extended their congratulations, and we are coordinating with them on a public announcement. And it's a big milestone, not just for Prairie Woods, but for our county. As part of our regional plan designation process, we completed an updated master plan for Prairie Woods. This plan looks ahead over the next 15-plus years as a roadmap for planned growth, land stewardship, and expanded public access. So the plan is included in your board packet, and it contains detailed maps, project priorities, and a phasing timeline. The phasing section, I believe, begins on page 28 and is on the screen as well. And this work directly aligns with our new strategic framework, which was approved earlier this year and is guided, of course, by our mission to promote awareness of the importance of our natural environment. And we do this through education and outdoor recreation. The master plan focuses on opportunities we've identified over time, including the need for improved accessibility, updated infrastructure, and space to accommodate growing interest in outdoor programming. So you can see in phase 1, which is the 3 to 5 year timeframe, we'll be addressing some of the top needs, including restoring native habitats and planting more pollinator-friendly areas, expanding natural surface hiking trails for education and recreation, improving vehicle circulation and ADA parking at the education building, creating a group camp or new or additional yurt, an accessible canoe and kayak launch to support the people who visit for our programs. and then remodeling the education building to include more visible and functional welcome areas. So these improvements are designed to help us better serve the wide range of people that come to Prairie Woods, from youth and school groups, who are the largest part of our current programming, to also older adults, community members, and visitors who are exploring the site for recreation, lifelong learning, or regional tourism. And because this all takes place on county land, every step we take adds long-term value to Kandiyohi County and enhances this public asset of Prairie Woods that already benefits thousands of visitors and residents each year. So we've already begun moving forward on some of these early phase 1 priorities in the green. For example, through a grant with Pheasants Forever, we have begun habitat restoration work on over 50 acres to restore native prairie. And then, of course, with the DEED grant through Kandiyohi County Economic Development, we will be completing a section of ADA parking and access improvements that's tied to the new nature preschool. Looking ahead, we do plan to write a legacy grant application next year to support other key phase 1 projects, including improvements to ADA parking and pathways, the remodel of the education building at the Welcome Center, and trail expansion to better serve our education programs and visitors. And once that process begins, then I'll plan to return with an update on the funding application. And we'll talk about any areas where the county coordination can help us move forward with that. And so our goal is to keep making steady progress, and we want to make sure the county stays informed along the way about the value that's being added every step of this long-term plan. One of our most exciting developments this year has been the opening of our licensed nature preschool center at Prairie Woods. This has been in the works for about 2 years, and we finally became officially licensed in February. And through this launch of the preschool and getting licensed, we have already served 25 families through this early programming, including our popular Forest Fridays program and seasonal sessions that we started last fall. Our first full programming year with the preschool will begin this fall in September, and we're currently filling fall enrollment. We still have a few summer spots available, but this time frame has really allowed us time to train and hire staff and make the improvements to the facility, strengthen our curriculum, and get prepared for full capacity, which will be 18 slots this fall. Some of the kids' favorite activities so far include hiking, playing in the prairie, bird identification, and even kick sledding this winter. And the startup costs for the preschool, as you can imagine, including building renovations to the Westby Observatory, like plumbing improvements, equipment, furniture, and meeting the licensing standards, were significant. This work was made possible through a 1-year DEED grant and combined with our own fundraising for the match that we raised through our Prairie Stars event and program revenue. As you can imagine, there's a real cost barrier of entry to launching a child care center or preschool, and we were able to meet that challenge and bring this vision to life. So the final piece of that DEED grant is creating the safe ADA compliant parking and drop-off area, which leads directly to the next action item. So as I mentioned, the final piece of the preschool project is the new ADA compliant parking and drop-off area that will serve both the preschool families and other Prairie Woods visitors. So this is a safety and accessibility improvement, and it directly supports access to the building, which is on county land. And so you'll find in your packet the bid recommendation letter for this project and the contractor who's selected and the total cost, which is $134,000, which is written in the budget, and it's fully funded through the 1-year DEED grant that also supported the preschool renovation. So no additional county funds are being requested, but because the property is county-owned, then we are asking the county to sign the notice of award as the landowner so that the contractor can proceed. The grant deadline is June 30th, and so issuing the award now will give us time for the contractor to complete the work on schedule.
All right, so let's go ahead and address that item
Okay.
right now. And the request, the recommendation is to award the bid to a specific vendor. Director Mel Odens, do you have anything that you wish to just direct us on in this regard?
No, Mr. Chair. Our involvement has been initially with just some site work, but I would concur that the improvements that they're doing is in essence going to be needed for what they need to do for this preschool. And they did get good bids, so I'm comfortable with the bids.
And the financial impact to Candy, Ohio County? is-
It's a deed grant, so there's no matching dollars that we would be. And I believe there's also, if this is awarded, there's a pre-construction meeting, I think, this week yet. Friday, I believe,
Correct.
so.
All right. I would entertain a motion from the board.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imdek moves award of the bid to, it was Swenson and Sons? Yes?
Yes.
I'm trying to find the letter. I'm toggling back and forth here. In the amount of $134,746. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to award the bid as presented. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imdek.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this information forward, and congratulations, by the way, on the designation as a regional park. That's a big deal. But there was a little confusion in this whole process here of who is to award this construction contract. We own the property, we being in the county. They operate the property. Perhaps we should consider a policy similar to what we do within our departments, wherein, they be authorized up to a certain level to award contracts without it having to come through the County Board of Commissioners, so that they can keep the process moving a little bit faster and smoother going forward. It was just a thought that, because there was that confusion, as we own the property, but it's their project, they applied for it, and for a lot of their things, they pay for them. So does the county really need to award the project? But anyway, that's for food for thought.
That sounds fair enough. Anyone else? All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to award the bid signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, and what else do you have for us?
Sure, thank you. Lastly, I would like to just briefly highlight how Prairie Woods continues to serve the community in meaningful ways. Over the past 10 years alone, we've welcomed more than 198,000 participants through school programs, outdoor recreation and conservation work, community events, equipment, and facility rentals. And you will find a one-page visitation summary in your packet that shows the steady growth over the years, of course, with a noticeable dip during COVID. But like many parks and trails across the state, the casual public trails use actually increased during that time. So we generally estimate an additional 5,000 casual trail users throughout the year. And those are not counted on that visitation record. I encourage people to sign up for our email newsletters for more regular updates and great photos of things happening at Prairie Woods. Our team consists of 10 staff. We have an additional 10 or so part-time seasonal facilitators of our programs, and then dozens of dedicated volunteers who support the year-round work. You'll see our org chart in your packet for a snapshot of how we support our programs and operations. And we are a nonprofit, and we are governed by a board of directors, and 2 county commissioners serve on this board. The popularity of our programs and the fact that we already have equipment and trained staff and facilities in place is a big reason why we were designated as a regional park. So we're building on a strong foundation and credibility over 30-plus years. So thank you again for your ongoing support of Prairie Woods. And again, this has been a landmark year. We're excited about what's ahead, and I appreciate your help with the contract award so that we can move forward with the parking project and close out the deed grant. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions or hear any feedback or comments that you'd like to share.
Commissioner Dale Anderson.
Thank you very much for bringing this forward and giving the update. I think the big thing going forward, there's going to be a lot of projects with the trails grants and stuff that you're going to receive. And I guess I'm not so worried about the money, but I think it'd be great if you could keep coming and giving the board updates on what's coming or what you see coming and where that's going to go. Because it is county-owned property, and I think the people of the county do have interest, even if they don't use the facility, of what's happening out there. So thank you much.
Great, I appreciate that feedback, and I'll be happy to come back this fall.
Administrator Baker.
To answer Commissioner Imdike's question, when Jennifer and I Jennifer started a little bit before I did. And then when I started here, we were both surprised that there wasn't an agreement between Prairie Woods and the county. And so in the last 2 years, we've kind of hemmed and hawed, and between our schedules, I do have a draft. It wouldn't necessarily be a policy, it's a memorandum of agreement. There was one drafted, county attorney, can you help me? Was it 2002 or 2012?
2.
Thank you. 2002, it was drafted, and then never approved by the county board. I figured he would know the date. And so I kind of went off that, modified some language, updated some language. I'll get that over to Jennifer for review, and so hopefully that, once Jennifer and I visit on that, we'll bring it to board and both boards and seek for approval and any modifications. But I think because there's always been this who's on first, who's on second, Jennifer and I have always had that discussion. Hopefully this will clear some of that up, having this MOA, and we'll maybe be able to move forward maybe in a smoother fashion when items like this come about. So.
I have one question and then a comment. So of course, the county also operates a county park campground system. And you've mentioned in here, in this master plan, a campground, a yurt, camper cabins. Tell me what all of that looks like. Is that specifically for groups, or is this general public? What is this going to look like? And I assume the funding streams that come out of that are going to go back to support your programming?
Great question. Yep. As far as we currently have a yurt that we use programmatically, and so the addition of group camp and additional yurt are just to further enhance our programmatic use, more so than commercial type camping, but just to enhance groups that are coming out and would like to extend their stay at Prairie Woods, that are taking part in our environmental ed programs, for example, and be pretty minimal. Like I said, we have one yurt, maybe add a second, and maybe 4 different smaller other sites for small groups to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reason I asked the question is that I know we take a little bit of grief here from time to time about operating the county park system here when there are private folks who also have campgrounds and that sort of thing. So I'm just, that's why I'm wondering about the scope of what it is that you're trying to do there, and certainly I can take that answer offline as well. So the other comment that I wanted to make is that one of our friends is with us here today who was quite instrumental in the work to get that deed grant, and
Absolutely.
Michelle Maratsky from Candiota County Economic Development was instrumental in the writing of that grant and working with you folks and others to get their items through. Michelle is leaving the organization and going on to an exciting new opportunity. And I just want to say, Michelle, on behalf of all of us here, on behalf of Candiota County, thank you for everything that you've done. And we know this isn't goodbye. You're just doing doing something different. And thank you for everything that you've done. And any last parting words for us, or?
No, I appreciate your time and the feedback and look forward to coming back again soon.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And at this time, we will take a 5-minute recess.
IT, are you ready?
Candiota High County Board of Commissioners is back from recess, and the next item on our agenda is Mental Health Month proclamation, Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. And we have staff coming forward to present to us. And good morning, please identify yourself and who you're with, and take it away.
All right. Good morning. My name is Megan Knott, and I'm a social service supervisor with Candiota County Health and Human Services for the Adult Mental Health, Adult Protection, and Substance Use team. Before reading the proclamation, I thought I would provide a brief overview of the responsibilities of the county board as it relates to access to mental health services for its residents. And I don't know, I have a PowerPoint, but I don't know if that's going to be connected for you guys.
Is it in the board packet?
It should be, yes. I think Leah sent that. So the first is just an overview according to Minnesota statute 245.466, a local delivery system. The county board in each county is responsible for using all available resources to develop and coordinate a system of locally available and affordable mental health services. The county board may provide some or all of the mental health services and activities specified in subdivision 2, you can see that below, directly through a county agency or under contracts with other individuals or agencies. The county is allocated funding from grants to support these efforts, and in turn contracts with local partners to support needs in some of the following areas, and I'll highlight those here in the next slides. The first area is education and prevention services. Woodland Centers is a contracted partner. We provide, money is provided to them to be able to provide some outreach and early intervention strategies. We also participate in a local advisory council. I believe some of you guys have also attended some of those meetings where we talk about and highlight the barriers or things associated with mental health in our community. We also, and I believe Corinne provided this update last year, but just talking about the barriers or access as far as interagencies being able to work together as it relates to efforts involving complex mental health needs. We started a mental health partners group where it involves law enforcement, the hospital, Woodland Centers, the jail, ourselves, corrections, just because everyone has their role, everyone has their scope. And so some of these people don't fit into any of the puzzle pieces or some of them. So we try and have that as an effort as far as how could we maybe work differently with these individuals so that someone's being touched, or so we just understand what one another's roles are, so we don't leave those conversations feeling frustrated. Next area is emergency services. So funding is provided to a contracted partner. Woodland Centers has a mobile crisis team and crisis stabilization efforts. We are fortunate to be able to have them in our community. We are also fortunate to have access to the emergency department with on-site psychiatric assessment availability, as well as local inpatient psychiatric units to meet the needs of the residents in our community as well. Outpatient services, so in addition to Woodland Centers, because they are our local, they are a CCBHC, they're a clinic, a mental health clinic here. We are fortunate to have a variety of options for individuals to seek mental health services. And the onset of telehealth provides increased access to services in our communities that would not otherwise, that our residents wouldn't otherwise have opportunities to. We do continue to see a disparity in access to in-person services for individuals for more complex needs. Our area, we just don't have professionals in our area that can provide in-person care, which results in us having to coordinate, at least the ones that we as the county provide case management to, coordinate, and sometimes they have to move because we just don't have local providers in order to meet some of those more complex needs. Community support program services. So this is Woodland Centers is a contracted partner that provides community support programming via grant, and that's allocated through Candiota County. So we in turn, and then we work together with them to ensure that they're providing community support programming. So those are peer supports, sometimes not as intensive, rehabilitative, where they're doing events with consumers in the community, helping them with activities of daily living, and some of those efforts. Residential treatment services. So in this area, we don't have residential treatment services located within our county walls, other than the MSHS, that's a Minnesota Specialty Health System that's run through the state of the DHS, and that's for folks typically, at least in how the pulse or how things are running right now, is in order to gain access to that level of care or that site, you need to be under civil commitment, subject to civil commitment, which is a court order to get mental health needs. But we do work together with all over Minnesota. There's IRTS levels of care that we are, that's intensive residential treatments. Those are like substance use treatment programs, but for mental health, where people can go in a residential setting to be able to learn coping strategies, sometimes get their medications to the spot, what's gonna help them manage their symptoms better. So we coordinate with all of those things. There's also transitional housing. So Woodland Centers has some board and lodge settings, also UCAT, Project Turnabout, the Fortress, the Well. We do have transitional services that help these folks that maybe need a little bit of additional support in order to be successful. So that's a great thing. Acute care, hospital inpatient and treatment services. Again, we are fortunate to have Rice Memorial Hospital. We have an emergency department, and as they've changed to Centricare, it's brought an onset of like telehealth, psychiatry services, some psychiatric providers that are through their system that provide telehealth services in our emergency department, as well as our inpatient psychiatric unit that's located here. And then for the youth, we also have the CABS unit. Yes, I'm more adult, so pardon me on all the acronyms. Due to limited bed availability, though, we do find that if individuals do end up in an ER here locally and they are residents of our county, our inpatient mental health unit is small. And so sometimes due to bed availability, our residents get displaced to other parts of Minnesota. Oftentimes, we're seeing the majority of them going to Prairie St. John's, which, as you know, is in Fargo, North Dakota, but they accept our Minnesota patients up there, and that's a psychiatric hospital. That's a large-scale psychiatric hospital. So oftentimes, if they can't stay locally here or get their needs met, then they're going elsewhere in order to get some of that care, which, I mean, is fortunate we're able to do that. Regional treatment centers and inpatient treatment services. So it's no longer called regional treatment centers, as you know, we had over there on the campus there. That's a pretty old language, but that's still what's reflected in our statute. They are the forensic mental health program or direct care and treatment, and those are things that are run by DHS. We don't have any of those things here locally other than the child and adolescent unit here. But if we get folks that end up and we're involved with them, there are 5 CBHH locations. So those are community behavioral health hospitals. Those are inpatient psychiatric units that are about 16 beds or up to 16 beds. There's 5 of those throughout the state. There's also Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center. Those are for individuals that are highest needs. Often those are folks that have assaultive behavior tied to the criminal justice system, that they're like the one of the highest tiers as far as it relates to needs for mental health. And then there's also the forensic mental health program that's located in St. Peter, and that right now is being housed it's housing our mentally ill and dangerous folks. So people that are subject to civil commitment oversight that has an indeterminate time frame. Okay, last one is case management services. That is something that we house here within Kandiyohi County Health and Human Services. The primary function of adult mental health case management is to assist adults struggling with serious and persistent mental illness, established with community services to achieve individual wellness goals so that they can experience safe and meaningful life. Case managers work to assist needs in the following areas: mental health, substance use, social interpersonal, educational or vocational, health and wellness, transportation, and advocacy. Case managers work with other providers to coordinate to meet the individual needs of individuals with serious and persistent mental illness. Case managers meet with individuals at least once a month to monitor, support, refer as clinically appropriate, and in conjunction with goals as determined by the individual. Adult Mental Health Authority ensures that there's timely access to care, continuity across service settings, and recovery as oriented, person-centered support. Any questions you guys have about what I first spoke about?
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I say any of my questions, excellent update, very excellent, well worded and put big changes since many years ago.
Yes.
But still basically the same type of services. Approximately how many beds at Rice Hospital do we have in the mental health unit? And then 2 questions, I'll give you the other one. With sometimes with commitments, how complicated is that when we end up having somebody on a hold order, say at Fargo or something like that?
So the first question is about capacity, bed capacity over at Rice Hospital. It changes, it depends on provider availability. So if they have an on-site provider, they can take more. If they have somebody that's more violent, they need to reduce or restrict the amount of patients that they can have at any one time. I believe right now, they're up to, I think, 10 is what they can take. But again, that can change. If they have somebody who's a high run risk or they have staffing that's down, they can't take somebody, they can't serve patients that are beyond like their client to person ratio. But yes, that's about where they're sitting right now. As far as hold orders that we pay for or how, like. say
For a
that
commitment,
second question?
pre-petition screenings.
Oh, sure.
For example, yeah.
Well, the majority of that, I mean, if they're on a hold, and I don't know if your question is this, like when they do not meet criteria and they're at a state facility, is that maybe where you're leaning more towards?
No, my question is doing the pre-petition screening then.
Correct.
Do you have to make a site visit or can you do it by
Oh, sure,
video
yes.
or?
We would prefer, obviously, if they're here at our local hospital or they're over in our jail and we're doing a pre-petition screening to determine the appropriateness of civil commitment intervention, we do an in-person visit. But if somebody's in HCMC in the metro or Fargo, these are very time-limited situations. Sometimes we need to do them, we need to turn them around or assess those needs within a couple of hours because of just the timeliness of things.
Sure.
We are able to do those telehealth or even over the phone. The court does allow us to be able to provide those interviews that way, but then we're, collateral information are all those things,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? You mentioned case management services, and maybe this is not the time to bring it up, but my understanding is that there's a legislation that may preclude counties from being able to provide certain case management services through outside agencies. And Caroline, I see you back there and
Yeah, I was like-
you're moving around a little bit. Can I ask you to address this a little bit? This came across my wire last night, or actually yesterday. And the potential impacts of that would be probably quite severe for Candiac County, yes?
Good morning, Caroline Kahn, Director of Health and Human Services for Candiac County. To speak to that, it is still an evolving legislation. I believe it went to committee yesterday afternoon. My understanding in connecting with our partners at MAXA was that was related to our home and community-based services programming, so necessarily within our waiver world, per se. So that would be affecting clients within that are served by our waiver programming, so not our mental health team necessarily. The case management that's provided through our adult mental health and children's mental health is separate from our case management that's provided through that legislation. From a small lens, that would be a significant impact to the community and to the state overall. For Candy, Ojai County, we traditionally don't contract out for our case management. We do a good job trying to keep that case management in-house. We'll have less than a handful of contracted cases at this moment, just because it was more effective and efficient to contract with a partner. I believe we have 4 active partnerships at this moment that would relate and be affected by that legislation. Is that fair?
Yes, and thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
But that was on my radar in case it came up here today, so.
Yep.
Any other questions? So we have 2 proclamations here. The first one is for Mental Health
Yeah, and I
Month.
can read the mental health one, and then Robin, who does the children's program, will read the other one. So for the proclamation for Mental Health Month is mental health is an essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and all people experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. And prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. And there is strong research that companionship, humor, spirituality, religion, recreation, social connection, and work-life balance can help people protect their health and well-being. And mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nations. And with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health and other chronic health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, the Candiac County Board does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Mental Health Month in Candy, Ojai County. The Board of Commissioners Chair, Steve Gardner, also calls upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Kandiyohi County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
All right, thank you for that. And go ahead and read the other one as well. Introduce yourself first, of course.
Good morning. My name is Robin Stryker, and I am a Children's Services Supervisor. I supervise children's mental health truancy and our family child care and child foster care licensing. So the proclamation for Children's Mental Health Awareness Day, May 7th, 2025, whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of children, youth, and families today is fundamental to the future of Kandiyohi County. Whereas the need for comprehensive, coordinated mental health services for children, youth, young adults, and families places upon our community a critical responsibility, whereas it is appropriate that a day should be set apart each year for the direction of our thoughts toward our children's mental health and well-being, whereas each child, youth, and young adult with mental health or substance use disorders requires a unique approach. A collaborative framework has proven effective in addressing the mental health needs of these individuals and their families within the community. Now, therefore, the Kandiyohi County Board does hereby proclaim May 7th, 2025 to be Kandiyohi County Children's Mental Health Awareness Day and urge our citizens and all agencies and organizations interested in meeting every child's mental health needs to unite on that day in the observance of such as will acquaint the people of Kandiyohi County with the fundamental necessity of a year-round program for children, youth, and young adults with mental health or substance use disorders and their families.
Robin, thank you for that, and I understand you have an update for us as well that we'll get to here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and take the proclamations one at a time. Would someone please move on the first proclamation for proclaiming May 2025 as Mental Health Month in Kandiyohi County?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to proclaim Mental Health Month for 2025.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. There's a motion and a second. Discussion or comment? I just want to say that I can think of at least one former commissioner who has publicly talked about personal mental health concerns over the years, and I just want to add to that. And you know, thinking back to myself as a younger man and having to address some of those types of things, there's no shame in seeking help, and I encourage everybody to do that. And this proclamation speaks to that as well. Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, well stated. Thank you. Well stated.
All those in favor of approving this proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And let's do the proclamation, your proclamation, and then we'll receive your update. Is that all right? Or would you like to do
You
your
already
update?
did.
I already did the
I'll
proclamation.
move on this proclamation for children's mental health.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
All right.
May
We have
7th.
a motion and a second. Any discussion? We're going to make sure that the kids are all right.
Absolutely. So my children's mental health team consists of 5 social workers. We have 57 open cases right now helping children in Kandiyohi County, and we're working on 13 more intakes and referrals just this month. So we get several referrals coming in, and they can come in from different places. We get them from parents, mental health providers, our truancy workers, child protection workers from the schools. But because this is a voluntary service, it's important that the family and or the client are open to accepting this service. And sometimes that can be a challenge. In order to receive children's mental health services, the child or the youth needs to complete a diagnostic assessment or comprehensive evaluation, and there needs to be an identified SED statement, which is a severe emotional disturbance statement within that evaluation to be eligible for children's mental health services. So, any questions?
Any questions for Robin on this matter? All right, we have a motion and a second to proclaim May 7th, 2025 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And you, you have one more proclamation.
I have two more. Two
ahead.
more proclamations, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to do the proclamation first or just a little update on which one I'm doing?
Yeah, you go ahead and do your presentation.
Okay.
We'll take these.
So this one is for child foster care. I have one child foster care licensor that goes around and license any of the foster providers in Candy, Ohio County. And so last month, we did highlight a little bit more of child foster care during the Child Abuse Prevention Month. So I'll just briefly kind of go through some numbers that we have going on currently. So currently, we have 56 children in out-of-home placement. Some of these children are living with non-custodial parents. Some are in residential treatment facilities, group homes, foster homes, PRTF, which stands for a psychiatric residential treatment facility, or maybe they've started a trial home visit with their custodial parent, but custody hasn't been returned yet. But of these 56 children, there are 21 children that are in relative foster care and 5 in a non-relative home.
Robin, quick question for you
Yeah.
on this. If I remember correctly, we were very concerned about this type of placement a year, 2, 3 ago as being a significant cost driver for us here in Candy, Ohio County. And it seems to me that number is lower than it had been in the past. Can you speak to that?
I really can't with, like past experience since I've only been here for a little over 8 months. But I think, what we are trying to do is work more with families and trying to establish more of a safety network to help provide that safety and security for these children so they can remain home in their families. And so I think we're trying to get ahead of that and working with the families sooner. So either if they are in foster care, they can come home quicker, or if it's in the middle of an incident, we can try to establish what is our safety up front and maybe avoid the foster care system, because we know that kids leaving their home can create a traumatic event for them.
Thank you.
Anything more to add, Caroline?
Yeah, we have a significant decrease. To speak to your question, Chair Gardner, last month during Child Abuse Prevention Month, we did talk about that significant decrease. Whereas if you notice, we did make an error in our proclamation that's in the board packet where it reflected 150 children. We had grabbed an old proclamation to update and missed that part. And that, I think, is a representation of that change too. At the point in time in which that proclamation was used, we did have 150 children in care. And now today we are down to 56, which shows a tremendous impact and change in the way that our teams are working with families to prevent out-of-home placement if at all possible.
So are you asking us to accept this proclamation with that edit?
With that edit, please, yes. We would like to remove the edit. We'll read either a change. It would most be reflective to just say that we do have children in out-of-home placement, regardless of the number. That does happen, and our foster families, whether they be traditional and or relative, do step up to the plate to meet the needs of those children and step in and lean into those families.
Outstanding, thank you. Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
So I missed the breakdown of how you had 56 are in placement right now, and then you had 21 with relative care, and then.
Yep, 21 relative foster care and 5 in non-relative homes.
Okay, so that makes up 26. Where's the other?
So I said 56 children in out-of-home placement, and so that's not necessarily foster care.
Okay.
So we have different placements that are in our system. We consider them locations, but they're not in the same home with their families. They're living somewhere else at this time. So that could be a hospital setting, the PRTFs, it could be residential. It's just not necessarily in foster care, if that makes sense.
Yep, thanks. I learn something about this all the time, so, and I just want to thank the people that do foster care. I mean, they really have a
Absolutely.
good heart for these little kids, so.
Commissioner Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question I have is there a problem? Do you have enough foster care families to meet the need?
So, there's been a lot of push to make sure we find relatives. It's important, if kids cannot stay at home with their parents, that the next best step would be find a relative, because then that's still within the family unit. So we have been very fortunate to, place more with relative foster homes than we are with traditional. So we do have some traditional foster homes that are empty right now because our foster kids are typically with their relatives.
Mr. Chair, may I just follow up?
Yes, and then
Excellent program. I really think you talk about the money and the cost of the program. Actually, it's saving dollars because the next level of care is very costly, but it's the best service too. And that's so important, and that's a great program. So hats off to both family foster parents as well as regular foster care families.
Commissioner Imdak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for that explanation. I had the exact same question Commissioner Anderson did about the numbers adding up. We used to do a, I don't know what they call it, a family night or something like that, where we did some ice cream and cake and whatever with foster families and both family, ones that were taking care of their own and others, kind of in reckoning. Do we still do that?
Yeah, so what we are planning this year is we are going to recognize each of the families by giving them some sort of a gift card, someplace where they could maybe go as a family out somewhere. But then we're also inviting them to the first Rockin' Robins event that Candy Ojai County Health and Human Services is going to sponsor, because we'd like to also recognize them and invite them to that event as well.
And my understanding is that that sponsorship is coming out of some leftover COVID dollars. Caroline, I had a question on this, and so I know you answered it for me privately, but if you could answer that here, that'd be great.
Yep, it's actually mostly for our COVID immunization funds that we had, as well as the opportunity to braid in some other supports through other state and federal funding. We used that as an opportunity to continue leveraging our message and meet various targets, and an opportunity to highlight what healthy communities could look like, whether that be through substance use prevention, mental health, and immunizations, as well as an opportunity to encourage our foster families to come out and have a fun, family-focused event, and kind of marrying some of our targets together. I apologize, I was trying to give my staff the opportunity to be the focal point today. So, but as Robin mentioned, an opportunity to invite our foster families to come and enjoy some fellowship together, as well as have a family-focused event that's free and in the community, and encourage participation with established networks.
Well, it's good to get in front of thousands of people at one time, so that's a good thing. And no blame to you. I'm the one that's asking the questions and I apologize for putting you on the spot on this, Robin. So our segue here then would be that there is a proclamation here.
There
Yes?
is a proclamation. National Foster Care Month, May 2025. Whereas the family, serving as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support, is the very foundation of our communities and our state. And whereas in Candy, Ohio County, there are children and youth in foster care being provided with a safe, secure, and stable home, along with the compassion and nurture of a foster family. And whereas Candy, Ohio County has many dedicated traditional and relative foster families who give generously of themselves to provide nurturing, safety, guidance, hope, and love for children and families in need. And whereas foster, kinship, and adoptive families who open their hearts, homes and hearts to support children whose families are in crisis play a vital role in helping children and families heal and reconnect, thereby launching young people into successful adulthood. And whereas there are numerous individuals and public and private organizations who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children in and leaving foster care, as well as enduring and valuable contribution of foster parents. Therefore, the Candy, Ohio County Board does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Foster Care Month in Candy, Ohio County, and urge all citizens to volunteer their talents and energies on behalf of children in foster care, foster parents, and the child welfare professional staff working with them during this month and throughout this year.
You've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation for National Foster Care Month?
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually had a quick question for your conversation before. Until fairly recently, there used to be kids placed in foster care got a blanket from a quilting club. You still do that or not?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Or is that still in existence? Or?
We do have a supply of donated blankets and quilts, and if the case manager feels that the child could benefit, some children do come with ample items and some children don't. I think we leave that up to the case manager's discretion of that being a meaningful item for the child to receive.
Okay, so it's not automatic and that the kid would get that as,
Yeah, not an automatic at this point.
okay.
So,
Thank
but they
you.
are still available.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Then all those in favor of the proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And we have a public hearing coming up at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to ask you to, or 11 o'clock, so I'm going to ask you to be brief with this last item, the Child Care Provider Appreciation Proclamation.
Do you mind if I give my update real quick and then I'll read the proclamation?
Really quick.
Okay. So we have one family child care licensor on the team. This year, there are 78 providers that are renewing their licenses and 7 new applicants. We have a project going on in Atwater that the construction phase is just beginning, and that will be a special family child care. This building will be half daycare, and it will consist of 4 daycare pods, and then the other half would be independent living apartments. We have a wide range of providers with several years of service. And, you know, as I mentioned, we have the 7 new applicants, but we also have 45 of our 78 providers with 10+ years of service, all the way up to 35 years. So the proclamation, Child Care Provider Appreciation Day for May 9th, 2025. Whereas our future depends on the quality of the early childhood experiences provided to young children today, and high-quality early childhood services represent a valuable commitment to our children's future. And whereas Candy, Ohio County child care providers are serving children so family members may accept or maintain employment. Whereas the contribution of child care providers to our children's future is worthy of the highest respect, and whereas by calling attention to the importance of high-quality child care services for all children and families in Candy, Ohio County, we hope to improve the availability of such services. And whereas Candy, Ohio County encourages parents to take May 9th, 2025 to show their child care providers how much they appreciate them. Now therefore, the Candy Ojai County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 9th, 2025 as Child Care Appreciation Day and urge all citizens to join in acknowledging Candy Ojai County's child care providers for their invaluable contributions made to the children and families of Candy Ojai County.
Robin, thank you. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I so move that May 9th will be the Candy Ojai County Child Care Provider Appreciation Day.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the work that you do, and thank you for being in front of us here today. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, we have 5 minutes prior to the public hearing. Do we need another break quick, or shall we, are you able to take your item?
Yes, and I just was speaking with Austin, and he's texting me right now. If it's okay with you, Mr. Chair, I can go, and then Mel and I can go. Well, yep, we'll be okay.
Okay.
If we can be quick.
It'll be
And then,
11 o'clock somewhere.
Yep, it's okay for us to start at 10 after 11.
Okay,
Is
let's,
what our attorney with Rinky Noonan said. So if I can go, and then you and
please
I
do, yes.
can kind of keep it rolling. Get it, unless Mel and I can do this in 4 minutes, we can just right back on track.
Yep, you guys can do it.
Kelsey Baker, Candy Ojai County Administrator. This morning, I am asking the board to appoint the North Fork Crow River Watershed board member, Bob Brockler. He was the only one that submitted a letter of interest. As I was looking at North Fork a little bit before, it covers Pope, Stevens, Candy Ojai, what am I missing? Stearns, Meeker, and that's it. So, right? Pope, Stearns, Candy Ojai, and Meeker. Little on the northern part, northeast part of the county. And so we only had one interest, so I would ask the board for approval of Bob Brockler.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I just want to, if I may, Mr.
Yes, you may.
I want to point out there's often some confusion between the North Fork One Watershed, One Plan and the North Fork One Watershed. This is the watershed with offices based in Bruton.
Yes.
So it encompasses just the North Fork of the Crow River.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none, then all in favor of the appointment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Director Mel Odens.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mel Odens, Public Works Director. Were we thinking just do one of mine or all three of mine?
Hit them all.
No. Hit 'em all.
Are you able to do that?
I am, but I am going to take 30 seconds.
And they said it's okay if it's 10 after 11.
Thank you.
So you're saying I can talk?
Yeah.
No,
We didn't say,
That's up to the
we didn't say that.
I know you
Other
didn't.
than that, go right ahead.
Okay, no. So the first item I'm bringing to you is a Quarters of Commerce application for project readiness. Now, this is a little bit different than what we've done before, but under the Quarters of Commerce program, what they were doing, and a little bit like what other agencies are doing, is they're getting projects ready because of all the work that needs to happen on the soft side of things, like the NEPA documents, the wetlands, the designs, all the things that take more time now than they perhaps used to. So this Quarters of Commerce application is for project readiness. It's a $2.9 million application. It would be the 2.5 miles to complete the 4-lane on the southwest part of Wilmer, and it's supported by the Highway 23 Coalition, and it does fit all the phasing that we've done as a result of the bypass project and the phasing that we've done on the county side. So it's my recommendation, Mr. Chair, to continue to support that. And as included in your packet, we did make application, but if the board doesn't support that, we can still pull the application. So it's my recommendation to continue the application and let it go forward to be eligible for the 2.9 million of corridors.
You've heard the recommendation of staff?
Mr. Chair, former Commissioner Nissen would not forgive us if we didn't support this readiness application.
Mr. Chair.
I move to accept the recommendation of staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Burke?
And Mr. Chair, I will second that, and I live about a mile from that, I think, area.
And I can see it across the field, so yeah,
Yes.
it's absolutely necessary, and thank you for putting that in proactively. Certainly, we, with all of the expansion out at the rail park now and pending, it just makes more sense from a commerce and from a safety standpoint to get that 4-lane extended. So thank you for that. Any other, Commissioner Dwayne Anderson?
Comment on it. I was about 12 when this project started, so it'd be nice to finish it.
We started more than 10 years ago.
So, well,
So, Mr. Chair, the only
Yes.
thing that we're going to put this in, but there is always confusion in the public because there's a project that was let on April 23rd of this year to do some resurfacing, and we're detouring on our County Road 5. The question always comes, will this fit what they're doing today? And yes, it will. So we won't have to redo something other than a minor connection at the ramp.
well, I had to run home from here yesterday and again this morning, and gosh, that resurfacing can't happen soon enough. So we're glad for that project as well. Commissioner Imdahl?
I would add one other clarification. This is a project readiness application, not an application to start laying pavement. And we're going to get that. People are going to say, oh, they were it. But no, it's not.
But this is the first step in getting down that road, so. All right, any other questions, comments? We have a motion and a second to approve the application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Mel, item
The
number
next one is last year's bituminous work that we did with Central Specialties. This involves all the work we did out in the rural part of the district. Here a few weeks ago, we did the Wilmer Avenue or the urban stuff with Dunix. This project was completed last year on September 4th. It is under bid, or the final amount is under the contract that we allocated for this project. So it's my recommendation, Mr. Chair, to accept the project and make final payment to Central Specialties out of Alexandria in the amount of $302,137.71.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Dale Anderson, thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And item number 3.
Item number 3, Mr. Chair, is our annual bridge replacement program resolution. Now, this is a requirement for funds through both state aid or any application that you make on the federal aid side. And so you might remember that we normally do it in the fall or December, November, December, but then we had that non-destructive testing that went on. So we went from 5 bridges to 17 bridges. That's now on the list. So we want to revise our bridge resolution to include that. And so with you is the updated bridge resolution that shows the additional bridges. It amounts to about $10.2 million in need now that we have on these bridges. And we do use a variety of funding sources, and normally we use about 6. But one of the things that the administrator and I have communicated with some of our representatives is the bonding bill is important because we don't depend solely on the bonding bill. This would be about $4 million to satisfy this need, and our need is a little over 10. So it should be noted that we don't completely rely on one source
Right.
for this.
And in addition to any levy dollars, you're leveraging.
Yeah, we leverage the levy dollars, correct. So it's my recommendation, Mr. Chair, to pass Resolution 2025-14 with the revisions as stated and update the bridge resolution.
Commissioner Imdak.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Commissioner Imdak.
You said we moved from what, 11 to
Five
5
to
to,
17.
okay, are any of them threatened to be closed as a result of,
Well,
or maybe the
They,
inspections
they
haven't
do
been
want to
done
go
yet?
out and look at one pretty close to Commissioner Anderson's on County Road 17. They want to come out yet this spring, soon. They want to take a look at that one.
That's east of Lake Lillian?
It's on County Road 17.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
east, east of 4.
Okay, I know which one.
Yep. So that's one that, and then we've also got some township bridges. You know, I think what piqued the interest is I think they've got 3 left to test of the timber bridges in our county. And our recommendation is to do that, just so we know, now we know the full circle of what we have, the problem. And they want to come on and recheck the one on County Road 17, which is eligible incidentally for federal bridge off system. So we're hoping that we can stay on top of this, but yeah.
Well, time is of the essence in some of these as well. You just brought one back online.
Yep, we brought 2, well, yeah, we brought one online and one that was basically should have been closed. It was down to an 8-ton. So now they're both, we just brought them on here a week or 2 ago. 20-ton and 20 for a single vehicle and then 32-ton for semi-traffic, so.
Outstanding. Commissioner Imdak.
Director Odens also mentioned, the encouragement of legislators to pass the bonding bill. I have a letter drafted, but one of the things that in the past has been a bit of a challenge for some representatives, and senators, is that it wasn't clean, that things got added to it. And it's going to be a skinny bill if we get one. Last year was actually the bonding year, but if we get one, it's going to be pretty skinny. But I think it's going to be really important this year not to let an imperfect bill go to waste so we don't get these projects back done in our district. And even if it's not in our district, I'll use dams as an example. The DNR gets a certain amount of money. So we have a dam on Lake Calhoun that is in pretty bad shape, but it hasn't risen to the level of it's like 5th or 6th on the list or something like that. If we can if number 1 can get knocked off through a bonding bill, that moves us up in the queue. And so we'll get there sooner by having a bonding bill.
Well stated. Thank you so much. Anyone else? So we have a motion and a second to move on Resolution 2025-14. Last call. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. At this time, we will recess the Candiota County Board of Commissioners, and we will open as the Public Drainage Authority, yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
You need a motion.
Need a motion to recess.
No.
Mr. Chair, you're right.
You can, do it on the
Well, we still have
Okay. So then
administrative updates.
you can just say we'll recess, but you need a motion to open up.
Okay, I need a motion to open as the Drainage Authority.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Austin, go ahead.
Thank you.
1 minute to set up for Kale.
Yep, he's got to set up.
Thank you.
Hopefully that's
I didn't.
not
yeah,
a picture of the
I
board there,
didn't-
is
I
it?
didn't realize that that screensaver was a shot of a
Of the
county board building, meeting.
I think he's signing in.
Sure.
Or do they want you to sign? Oh, yeah.
Kale,
right.
can you hear us? The speaker.
Looks like you're muted.
Yeah, we're
picking
using
up.
the speaker over there. Kale, one more time. Can you hear us? Can't hear you yet.
Looks like Austin's muted.
Yeah, but we're gonna play it over the speaker. So mine's just here for the podium or
Oh,
whatever. So,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Kale.
Now we got the whole firm there.
Kale, can you talk once and see if we can hear you now? I'd have to give IT a call and see.
Does he have a lot of speaking?
Kale, yes, yep.
Why don't we just call him
Sure.
from my phone?
Okay.
Here comes IT.
Here comes IT.
Well, then let's,
Let's try this one, share. I don't know what's going on with the audio.
Which three? What's is that? That was pretty good.
Can you hear us now?
And you know, one like New London, Doug Pete said, maybe we should put off our projects. I'm not telling you what she's gonna say, but that would be more so. They got a $500,000 street project for the road. Township like New London.
Do a lot of that anyway.
Right, but, you know, when
Just text them, let me know if we'll call them. Sure. And then here's my, just, or do you want to, you can use my phone if you want your phone.
Dale, or Dwayne, you want to help?
I just get in the way on stuff like that.
Just checking.
Yep.
Better use it.
It might implode on me.
the city of Regal's annual budget.
Technology.
Oh, really?
They have one street.
Pretty lean.
They have one street. And then there's a tower where the old Catholic church used to sit. There's a communications tower that AT&T.
So IT's working on it here,
They
so.
get just short of
We'll let you know when
$10,000
it's ready.
a year revenue.
It'll, you just wanna keep making some noise and we'll see if
Tax
we can hear you, so.
Residents.
You look like you're, yeah, I think that'll be the next step here. He's gonna try one more. Okay. Sounds good. Yep. Bye.
Thomas Jefferson on there.
You want to just call them and let them know, we'll put them on speakerphone?
Right?
Hey, Kale, so I got you on speakerphone here. We're just gonna go that route. Okay?
That works for me. I'm ready.
Thanks. All right.
All right, so we're ready to go. We're ready to go. Not yet.
Ready. Okay. Let's go like that. Kale, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, should be ready.
Try again?
Try again, we should be ready now.
That already sounded better. All right. Thank you very much, and thanks for everybody watching who, thank you for your understanding that we're working through technology today. So we are the Canada County Board of Commissioners, acting as the Drainage Authority under Minnesota statutes, Chapter 103E for Candia High County Ditch 10, and this is the matter of a minor alteration or change to Candia High CD 10 and 75th Avenue Southwest Crossing. This is our bridge number 34520. And with us today is Austin Hilbrands, our drainage manager, and then online we have Kale Van Bruggen from Rinke Noonan, and Kale, let me turn this over to you. Kale?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The order of business for the hearing today is going to be following my brief introduction of what the board's obligations are as the Drainage Authority. Mr. Austin Hilbrands, the county drainage inspector, is record evidence showing that notice for today's hearing was complied with as required by Minnesota statutes. Following Mr. Hilbrand's presentation, the Candy-Ojai County Engineer Melvin Odens will present his engineer's report explaining the proposed minor alterations or changes to the 75th Avenue Southwest crossing of Candy-Ojai County Ditch 10. Following Mr. Odens' presentation, the chair is going to open the floor for public comment, and the board will take any comments or questions by any affected or interested party relevant to the proposed minor alterations or changes. So if there are any members of the public present today who have comments or questions at that time of the hearing, the chair will recognize you. You come forward, state your name and address for the record. If you have property affected by the proposed changes, it would also be helpful for the record if you identified that property. For the board, as the chair stated, the board is meeting today in its capacity as the drainage authority, and it's the drainage authority that has to review and decide whether or not to approve the proposed minor alterations or changes being proposed by the county highway department. We're acting under Minnesota Statutes 163.17, which states that the board shall approve the proposed minor alterations or changes upon finding at today's hearing that those proposed changes will not affect or impair the efficiency of the drainage system. That's for the benefit of the landowners who are taxed and assessed benefits for County Ditch 10. Happening concurrent to this proceeding, the Drainage Code, Minnesota Statutes, Chapter 103E, also requires approval for the change in hydraulic capacity at this crossing by the director of the Minnesota DNR, Division of Water Resources. The request for the director approval has been submitted as of last week. The director or her designee had not provided that approval yet, but the Drainage Authority can certainly continue with its purpose and its hearing today. The Highway Department would just need to ensure it waits until the written approval from the Minnesota DNR is granted before proceeding with construction. So following the public comment portion of today's hearing, I will help the board deliberate its required findings. And then the board has several actions it can take today following the public comment portion of the hearing and its deliberation. The board can certainly continue today's hearing and request that the county highway engineer or the Drainage Authority staff or its legal counsel investigate and provide more information to the board. If the board feels that the proposed changes will impact the efficiency of the drainage system to benefited landowners, it can deny the request by preparing findings and adopting an order at a continued hearing. Or if the board finds there will not be an impact to the efficiency of the drainage system, the board can act today by adopting findings in an order approving the proposed minor alteration or change. So with that, before we move on to Mr. Hilbrand to submit evidence of compliance with the notice requirements, Mr. Chair, do you or any other commissioners have questions for me about the procedural history or the law that's required for today's hearing?
Do any members of the board have any questions in this regard? We do not. Austin, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Austin Hilbrand, Drainage Manager. Today here to talk about where the notice, so we have an affidavit of posting. Notice was posted April 10th on the main bulletin board at the Candy-Ojai County Courthouse, the main bulletin board outside this room. There's we're waiting on the affidavit of publishing. Notice was published in the West Central Tribune, April 19th, the 26th, and May 3rd. And then the DNR letter that Cale mentioned was emailed and mailed to Director Katie Smith and Area Hydrologist Emily Wolf on April 14th. Area Hydrologist Wolf confirmed that they received the letter by April 15th. Area Hydrologist Wolf stated that the letter is in its final steps of review yesterday, May 5th. So.
Austin, thank you. And Director Odens, engineers report.
Mr. Chair, thank you. We have reviewed the engineer's report, which is included in your packet. February 12th of this year. And when we do a hydraulic report and risk assessment, we do focus on the four main things. We always want to make sure it's a good project, it doesn't alter the area, and it's going to be safe. So we do look at the natural stream width. In this case, the picture was up on your screen. The recommendation here is a double 12 by 10, so it'll be 24 feet wide. We are replacing a timber bridge, so we do feel that this matches the County Ditch 10 natural environment pretty well. We do check it against the ADT requirements for the overtopping. Under extreme events, we want to make sure that we satisfy what we need to against the ADT level guidelines, and it does meet the risk guidelines. The velocity through the structure is 3 feet per second, which is well below what we like to see on the maximum velocity between 8 and 9, so it's well below the scouring capability. And then the last thing we do is the area for flooding, and in this case, the flooding is negligible. Any upstream stage increase is less. It's only 0.1. We can go up to 6 inches. So my recommendation is to approve the hydraulic report and risk assessment, Mr. Chair.
You've heard the recommendation of the engineer. Are there any questions for Mr. Odens?
Move to approve the hydraulic report.
Well, we're going to check first. I'm sorry. I should have been more clear. If there are no questions for Mr. Odens, then we would be ready to hear from members of the public who would wish to comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? All right, hearing and seeing none, then I will hereby close the public comment portion of the hearing. Mr. Van Bruggen, would you advise us of our options at this point?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So for efficiency's sake, in case there were no public comments or questions opposing the proposed minor alterations or changes, we did prepare a set of draft findings and an order approving the County Highway Department's request of the Drainage Authority. Those are in your board packet. To proceed with approving that request, the board needs to deliberate on the question of whether or not the proposed alterations or changes to the County Ditch 10 crossing will affect or impair the efficiency of the drainage system. So I'll ask if the commissioners have any questions or any discussion on that question. Once any questions or discussions are complete, then we'll do a roll call vote deliberating on that question. So do the commissioners have any discussions or any questions about the effect or the impairment of County Ditch 10?
Are there any questions for Mr. Van Bruggen? All right, then we would then entertain a motion on this matter. Commissioner Imdek?
So moved, Mr. Chair. And thank you for the clarification.
And this is to approve the draft findings in order as presented, approving the alteration to the CD 10 and 75th Avenue crossing. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Imdek and seconded by Commissioner Dwayne Anderson. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Burke.
Mr. Chair, thank you. The hearings, I have a little trouble hearing. It's been going on to some degree. Was there any mention that, was there any written comments, concerns submitted? Maybe you addressed that already. I don't think you did.
Yep, there was no written comments or any comments at all, actually, from the public on this one, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we do have that motion. Is there any further discussion? All right, we'll vote on these findings and orders by roll call. Commissioner Dale Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Berg.
Aye.
Commissioner Imdek.
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner votes aye. We have 5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries. And is there anything else, Austin, that we need to cover in this in this regard, or are we okay to adjourn?
I think you're good to adjourn.
All right, Mr. Van Bruggen, thank you so much. And is there anything from your end that we need to cover?
Nothing further from me. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board.
All right, thank you very much. And then with that, we will adjourn the public hearing of the Canada County Drainage Authority. And we will move back into, oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion to close the hearing.
Mr. Chair, I so move to close the hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thanks for moving us back out of that. We will then reconvene, come out of recess as the Candioi County Board of Commissioners. And we are down to that point in our meeting